Hey, and welcome back. I'm Leila Barker for Lucky Break Consulting, and you guessed it. This is Brick House Branding. We are tiptoeing our way through module number 3, which is all about winning the hearts and minds of your customers. Specifically, in this video, I'm going to introduce you to the idea of a brand manifesto. That's a real cornerstone of the Brick House Branding concept. However, if you aren't a Brick House Branding grad, if you haven't been through this program before, this is probably a fairly new concept to you. I'm going to do my very best to blow away the fog and bring some clarity to this important rallying cry for your business. Here's what you're going to learn in this particular video. I'll tell you what a brand manifesto actually is and how they're going to create a magnet to attract your audience. I'll share examples of a few brand manifestos in action. I'll tell you how to write your own manifesto, and I'll share some ideas about how you'll ultimately put this manifesto into action. Where will it live? What will it become? We'll tackle all of that together. Of course, you do have this packet of support materials. Continue working through the Module 3 workbook to collect all the important bits of curriculum. Also, your Module 3 progress tracker will ensure that you are on track and completing things in the most logical sequence. Remember to give yourself a check mark for watching this video. And finally, there is a new worksheet called My Brand Manifesto. It is deliciously self-explanatory, but I will tell you more about it towards the end of this video. So let's start at the beginning. What is a manifesto? Quite simply, it's a public declaration of the principles, policies, or intentions of your brand. I like to think of a brand manifesto as a declaration of independence. It is your vision for a better world and a moral compass that guides your brand. Manifestos are written to appeal directly to your customers. That's the most important thing for you to keep in mind. Whenever you are writing to appeal to your customers, you're using a very persuasive voice. We don't want to come across as salesy and smarmy and schemy, but we want to be authentic and honest. We want to write in a conversational tone. We want to use our persuasive writing chops to get people to follow along behind us. Remember that manifestos have energy. I'll share a few of them with you in just a moment. Hopefully that will help you understand what I mean by having energy. They make a declaration, they take a stance, and they stand for something important. This is not the time to be vanilla or generic or to stand in the middle of the road. I want you to take a stand. Manifestos also reflect the heart and the spirit of the company in an imaginative and particularly inspiring way. Again, examples are coming up in just a moment. A manifesto asks the reader for consideration or commitment and contribution. It invites the reader to join the movement. That's a very important facet of your manifesto. Here's a great example and one of my favorite brand manifestos. As I read, I want you to pay attention not only to the content, but to the tone of the writing. You might find it helpful to listen first for the content, then pause and rewind the video and listening to it again with a careful and sharp eye tuned towards the tone and energy of the piece. You ready? Here we go. We are for neighbors. We're for neighborhood barbecues, for multifamily garage sales, for trick-or-treating. We're for slowing down children at play. We're for sharing a common hedge and an awesome babysitter. We're for neighborhood watch, emergency response, and for just keeping an eye out for a lost cat. We believe waving hello to a new neighbor says welcome better than any doormat. We believe technology is a powerful tool for making neighborhoods stronger, safer places to call home. We're all about online chats that lead to more clothesline chats. We believe fences are sometimes necessary, but online privacy is always necessary. We believe strong neighborhoods not only improve our property value, they improve each one of our lives. We believe that amazing things can happen by just talking with the people next door. We are next door. We are simply you and your neighbors together. That manifesto is by a company literally called Nextdoor. It's like Facebook for neighborhoods. So it introduces neighbors to one another and gives them a safe place to chat about things that are happening in their neighborhood and building those connections. But let's rewind for just a moment and do a bit of dissection of the manifesto that we just read together. Paragraph 1 is all about building community, the human to human connection. That's where we have the neighborhood barbecues and the family garage sales, trick or treating, slowing down, children playing outside, sharing common hedges and babysitter references. Paragraph number 2 is all about helping your neighbors. That's where the neighborhood watch, the emergency response, and keeping an eye out for the lost cat comes in. Paragraph number 3 begins to pivot. It talks about how technology can actually make neighborhoods stronger. So this is where we really get to specific to this Nextdoor platform. Online chats that lead to clothesline chats. I love that line. And then the final closing paragraph says, we believe strong neighborhoods not only improve our property value, they improve each one of our lives. They talk about why this Nextdoor platform is relevant to you. We believe that amazing things can happen by just talking with the people next door. And then they sort of close with an invitation. It's an implied invitation. It's a little bit subtle, but we are Nextdoor. It's strong. We're simply your neighbors together. When reading that, suddenly am interested in Nextdoor. I remember when I found this manifesto, I was so excited because I thought, gosh darn it, I want whatever it is they're selling, right? Like that's what I want my community to look like. So it's a very persuasive sort of rallying cry. I'll give you another example. No matter my history, my past mistakes, my relationship status, or career choice, I am worthy of love. I am not defined by my past. I am prepared because of it. While my own voice and others may tell me different, I will lean into the safe people that affirm this way of thinking. When I encourage others to love themselves, I am encouraging them to treat themselves with kindness, patience, respect, and all that embodies love. We live our life knowing we have worth. So worth loving. It's a lifestyle. That is the manifesto for the lifestyle brand known as So Worth Loving. I made reference to them in the first video of this module. They were tucked into your brand inspiration worksheet for module number 1, and you are certainly going to be hearing about them more as we proceed through Brickhouse Branding. I do a great case study on them in module number 6. It's one of my favorite brands because they do such a beautiful job of building emotional resonance, building community, and reflecting the customer back onto themselves. And I believe that's been pivotal to their early success as a brand. So again, a different type of manifesto. This has a very different flavor than the Nextdoor manifesto, but there's a good reason why. So Worth Loving is a lifestyle apparel brand. It's aimed at millennials in particular, young people who have survived a lot of trauma. So again, that might be drug abuse. It might be an abusive relationship. It might be working in the sex industry or taking a job that you're not particularly proud of. And the whole idea of So Worth Loving is to affirm to people that they are worthy of love, that they are in the right spot, that they have a community that will openly embrace them. So a very different tone than the manifesto for Nextdoor, but still a wonderful tone that is very, very on brand. Your tone will be largely shaped by your brand voice and what your core conversation is all about. There is no standard boiler template, but I think these are a great study in comparison and contrasting. One more for you. This one's for Warby Parker. We started Warby Parker to create an alternative. By circumventing traditional channels, designing glasses in-house, and engaging with customers directly, we're able to provide higher quality, better-looking prescription eyewear at a fraction of the going price. We believe that buying glasses should be easy and fun. It should leave you happy and good-looking with money in your pocket. We also believe that everyone has the right to see. Almost 1 billion people worldwide lack access to glasses, which means that 15% of the world's population cannot effectively learn or work. To help address this problem, Warby Parker partners with nonprofits like Vision Spring to ensure that for every pair of glasses sold, a pair is distributed to someone in need. That is the brand manifesto to Warby Parker. There's nothing complicated about it. Good eyewear equals good outcome. If you haven't yet checked out Warby Parker, please do. They are a brilliant brand. These cats have turned the entire eyeglass industry on its head. You can order online 5 pairs of frames. They will ship them to your house for exactly $0. They don't even charge you the shipping. You can try them on at home and then return the frames back to them with your prescription, and they will build out whatever pair of glasses you need with prescription lenses. What's really great about Warby Parker is they have such an incredible customer experience. Go get on their email list. Try and order one of their packs of glass frames if you're a glassware and just see how that unfolds, how they communicate with you, what that packaging looks like. Really dive in. They also are very transparent about their desire to support people in foreign countries who do not have access to eyewear, as you just heard in the manifesto. If you're at all curious about how you can bake philanthropy into your business model, then I hope that you will capture that thought and then hit the pause button on it. In Module 4, I'll be sharing lots of ideas with you about how you can build a meaningful philanthropic collaboration that serves you, your company, and your community very, very well. There's a way to do this right, to sort of build that collaboration in a way that is mutually beneficial to you and the philanthropic organization, and in a way that does not break the bank. It's absolutely possible, but I don't want you to focus on that right now, because right now, I need you to focus on that brand manifesto. It's time to tickle the edges of your brain and begin unleashing some ideas for this upcoming manifesto. And as you write, there are some important strategies and tips that I want you to keep in mind. The first is that I want you to speak in a collective voice. Remember that this is a persuasive piece of literature. You want to speak as a community leader. You want your language to be very inclusive in nature. Also, I want you to use the active voice. So this is a little bit of a grammar school flashback, but there is active voice and passive voice. So, in an active voice, the subject of the sentence is performing the action. In a passive voice, the subject of the sentence is being acted upon. Here's the difference. The man ate 5 cheeseburgers. That's an active sentence. The man is the subject, and he's doing the eating, which is the verb. 5 hamburgers must have been eaten by the man is a passive iteration of the same idea. Hamburgers there are the subject line, and they're being eaten, which is the verb. Another little trick for you. Go back to Grammarly, Grammarly.com. Grammarly.com. If you will write your brand manifesto in whatever sort of Word, Office, document creation software you would like to use, you can then pop it into Grammarly and it will automatically identify for you where you have unconsciously pivoted to passive voice and give you ideas for fortifying that and switching everything over to active voice. I want you to make sure that you write in clear, friendly language. Again, it's a rallying cry. You're trying to get people to follow you. So we don't want to be vague and fluffy and self-serving and squishy. We want clarity and we want friendliness. Remember what I talked about in Module 2. You don't even have to write in full sentences. You can use contractions or trying to write as we speak. That builds commonality and trust among our readers. Also, avoid vague, self-serving statements. This is where we can get very ideological and grandiose, and things can get fluffy and squishy, as I mentioned. That does not breed trust. So keep everything tangible and tethered to the ground. Be very clear and not self-aggrandizing. More than anything, though, I want you to express your passion. That is so important. This is where your real passion story of your business comes through. Tell people why you give a damn and why they should be following you and joining you on your mission of whatever your brand is really all about. But please make this a passionate plea to your customer base. So I have some prompts. I like to call them building blocks, if you will, that help you pull out the information from your brain and get it onto paper so that you can reshape it into a manifesto. Here are my building blocks. The prompt starts with I or we believe. So again, regarding that I or we, flashing back to something I said in Module 2, I don't have a dog in the fight. You can refer to your brand as I meaning singular, or we, meaning more of a plural or collective sense. Potato, potato, either are fine. What's important is that you select one and then consistently articulate it throughout your brand. So whatever decision you made in Module 2 about how you reference your brand and your company is what you will pull into Module 3 for the brand manifesto. So for the sake of clarity, I'm just going to say I believe. So the first prompt tells you, what do you know to be true? That's what it's asking of you. Write down all the things that you know to be true as they relate to your brand or your product category. The next prompt is, I want to live in a world where. This is your opportunity to paint a vision of the world that you want to live in. What's different? What's better? What's easier for people if they are living in that kind of world? I refuse. What status quo are you trying to change? A status quo of your customer, or perhaps a status quo of the current market? Another worksheet that you've already done for Module 2 that might help with this is called Mission, Market, and Values. As we continue to move through Brickhouse Branding, you'll begin to realize how I've been laying all these little tips and breadcrumbs at your feet, helping you to pull out these building blocks, and then we begin putting the pieces of the puzzle together as we move into the second half of Brickhouse Branding. This is one of those opportunities. The status quo that you were trying to change in the marketplace was identified on the Mission, Markets, and Values worksheet from Module 2. I choose. What are you doing differently? What invitation are you extending to your audience? And then you're going to end with that very specific invitation. Give them a call to action. Give them a next step that you want your reader to take. That's very, very important in persuasive writing, that you always end with an invitation. So again, I believe, I want to live in a world where, I refuse, I choose, and then ending with a specific invitation. One caveat about using these prompts. I initially introduced them in the very first semester of Brickhouse Branding, and I quickly learned that some students had a hard time thinking outside of the box with them. So in other words, they would literally write the word I believe, and then a sentence or two, and then they would write the word I want to live in a world where, and a sentence or two. These are just prompts. They're designed to get the juices flowing and pull the information out of your brain and fix it in a tangible form. Your final brand manifesto may or may not include those actual prompts. The idea is to get to the content. If you get to that content through my prompts, beautiful. But my prompts are less important than you actually getting to the content, getting it out of your head and clarified as a rallying cry for your customer. So feel free to use the prompts. You can include the prompts in the final brand manifesto. You may use the prompts as a tool and a mechanism, but not include them in the final brand manifesto, and that's fine. You might even include them in a different order than what they appear here. Please, you have lots of levity and lots of flexibility. I'm just trying to get the ideas flowing through your fingertips or flowing through your pencil. Once we build this brand manifesto, it's going to start popping up in several different places. It's actually going to become the centerpiece of your About page, which is what I'm going to be talking about in our next video. It might be included in any media kit that you build for the company, and very often you will find things like brand manifestos printed and included with retail orders. We'll talk about the unboxing experience in Module 6 here in Brickhouse Branding, but essentially we're going to include various marketing materials within our packages that reinforce our brand core, and a very common centerpiece of that is the brand manifesto. So now you have work to do, my friend. The worksheet is called My Brand Manifesto, and it's designed to help you pull together your very own manifesto. Print one copy, work through the prompts to pull together the building blocks of your company's rallying cry. I do love to see manifestos. It's a great gut check of where you are in your brand development. So feel free to work on this piece. You're probably going to need to work on it for a few days. Go ahead and sit with it, polish again, run it through Grammarly, give it some time and some breathing room. Like a fine wine, it needs to breathe and to sort of develop its full flavor profile. But once it's been out for a few days and you've revisited a few times, I hope that you will pull it into our private Facebook community. I will certainly be keeping an eye out for it there. That's it, my friend. You have just crossed the finish line of video number 2. You're halfway through Module 3 already. This one is decidedly lighter because you are going to be a content creating machine. I want to make sure that you have time on your calendar to do that. I'm Leila Barker for Lucky Break Consulting. In my next video, I'm going to demystify the often confusing about page of your website. I'm excited to dig into that with you, and I'm really proud of all of the hard work that you're investing into your brand development. You're doing the right thing. I promise it's going to pay off in the end, and I'm forever cheering you on. I'll see you in the next video.